Hi guys, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Charlie, and this is the Mood Booster podcast.
In this podcast, Charlie and I sit down, we have conversations about joy, well-being, just reflecting on our daily experiences in our life and finding the joy in the everyday.
Exactly that. We're not here to preach, just to connect, reflect as you said, and hopefully give you guys a little bit of a lift wherever you are.
Yeah, you can expect stories that spark something, science that makes sense, and just a conversation between two friends that feels like you're catching up with an old pal on a long walk in the countryside.
Exactly that. This episode is on the importance of our oceans, a topic which is super close to my heart, a passion of mine, which is great. It's a really nice episode, isn't it?
It is, it's lovely. It's just so nice hearing, you speak about your passion, your education, your background, your degree in marine conservation. So we go into a lot of that, and I really enjoyed it. I think you will too.
Exactly that. We go into a little bit of the importance of our oceans, not just for our well-being, but for the planet as well. Really how it all connects and works together.
Yeah, and if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see that we're in a different location. We're currently being heckled as we're recording. There's people talking to us. There's a cat on my lap. We're in front of his cookie shop, and I'm literally being shouted at, which is quite hilarious. We basically came to Sosie's cookie shop here, which is wonderful, and the best cookies I've ever eaten. And we just decided to come back to do our prelude, because we try and do our preludes in different locations. And there's a cat on my lap that's absolutely loving this, and it's good, isn't it?
It's a beautiful location. We saw these two women yesterday who run this amazing shop. It's a beautiful location, and it's a bit of a chaotic location. We've got cats and goats everywhere, motorbikes, but again, we hope you guys love this episode, and let's boost some moods and let's go.
Let's do it.
Hello everyone.
Buongiorno. Actually, yeah, bonjour. We're in the land of French speaking, right?
Welcome everyone, firstly, to the 10th episode of the Mood Booster podcast.
You know what it is. Numero 10. 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. 10.
Welcome everyone. This is the 10th episode of the Mood Booster. Where are we, Marcus?
10th episode of the Mood Booster, filmed from Tagazout, Morocco.
Morocco, the French speaking, for real. That's what you're saying.
The French speaking.
There are two dialects here, actually. It's French and Berber.
Okay.
Berber. It's a dialect of Arabic.
Amazing.
I'm probably butchering that.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a wonderful place, isn't it?
It is.
Tagazout in Morocco.
Yeah, we're always just on our travels. No, we're not really. But this is our 4th episode on the move, maybe?
Well, we had Scotland. We didn't have an episode in Scotland.
Yeah,
we have, but not published.
No.
I think
Spain.
this is one of the first ones. Spain was the first one to go out.
On the beach in the New Forest.
Number 2.
Número 2.
Doth.
I
think this is the 3rd one.
Exciting. Anyway, what are we talking about?
So today we are reflecting on the importance of our oceans.
The oceans.
The oceans. This is as you might have seen, if you haven't seen, then it's completely fine, but a passion which is very close to my heart as well. We recently saw the documentary from David Attenborough called Oceans. It's in cinemas now. And we were just thinking about what to do for this week's episode, and I think you said, why not just do it on oceans? And it dawned on me something I've always wondered is, how am I going to link my different passions together?
Mm-hmm.
The oceans I love, and this podcast, what we're talking about, means so much. So when you said it to me, I was very much just like, it's a fantastic idea.
Let's make it happen.
My
thinking is, this is all about us and our well-being and us trying to find happiness. Your passion is, of course, what brings you happiness and joy.
Of course.
We should champion our passions and each other's passions, and it sort of makes me very happy to see you talking about what brings you joy, and you come alive when you talk about it. So, yes, we're not necessarily delving deep into potentially introspective thoughts of, anxiety or whatever it might be, but that's not every episode. It's really exciting to be able to go into something that brings you joy, being your passion, in this instance, talking about the oceans, because there's a lot to talk about. They are quite big, actually.
The ocean is very large. And we're here in a surfing town, as Marcus said, in Tagazout.
Mm-hmm.
It's a surfing town on the western coast of Morocco, about an hour north of a city called Agadir. And in the winter, there's a surf spot called Anchor Point. It's got some of the biggest swells.
Really big.
It has one of the best waves in the world here as well.
Right.
Now, we're here in May time, so it's a little bit smaller. But I think we've had an absolutely fantastic time so far, which we'll speak about soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of why we're speaking about it, I think you've said it perfectly there. The fact that it's one of my biggest passions, I think, is reason enough to speak about
of course.
everything. We in this podcast don't only talk about the highs and lows, but everything in life, everything in between. And the more normalized we can reflect on what we enjoy, what we love, and everything, the more we can learn.
Yep.
And become more connected with each other as well.
I'm excited to learn a lot. I'm going to learn so much because I don't know anything about the oceans other than that they have fish in them, and I don't even know how many of them there are.
There's a few fish.
I probably could know how many oceans there are, but
there's a few fish in a few oceans.
There's a few fishies.
I should say I don't have a master's or a PhD, but I do have an undergraduate degree in ocean science and marine conservation. Whenever people ask the question, would you change your university experience in any way, shape, or form? My answer is so solidly no, just because I loved what I was studying. It's not quite what I do now as a career, but I think through what we're doing here, this is me still enjoying that part of me as well.
For sure. You know a lot of what you're talking about, and it's nice to hear when you do start talking about it. So when you say you don't have a master's or a PhD, I know you don't mean that in a self-deprecating way, but that's not necessary. It's you've gone to school for it, you've learnt about it, you've done some, which you've told me about, some very interesting research in it, and continue to do so and want to do so. And yeah, as always, we're not necessarily preaching and all these things. We're just talking about our passions and our interests, which is very much your interest here. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm excited to learn a lot today.
Me too.
Just sit back, relax, hear about the oceans.
About the oceans. I'm not sure if you guys can hear. Hopefully you can. The ocean waves in the background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sublime.
Give us your best ocean wave noise. Whoa! Birds, get down! Oh.
Dory! Nemo! Go on.
What animal is that? Is that
it's a starfish. The famous starfish.
What animal is this? What noise is a starfish make?
Go on, you do a starfish noise. All of its little sucky things. They're quite odd if you think about it.
Some people get off on that.
We all have audio tuning, so none of this will probably be picked up.
This is all going to go away. Regardless.
How's your week been? Tell me.
My week. So I arrived in Morocco on Friday. The first part of this trip here was a little bit of a solo adventure as well. I arrived into Morocco very much. I think I was telling you, I was a little bit apprehensive. I haven't done a solo trip or travel in a while. And I think when I first arrived, I was a little bit apprehensive. I know I said briefly on one of our daily mood check-ins that the expectation felt slightly different to how it did feel. Upon further reflection, I think my expectation was for me to arrive and have this massive sort of breath of relaxation from the busy hustle and bustle of London. I arrive in this calm surfing town and I'm like, oh, I'm on an adventure. But when I first arrived, it was chaotic. I didn't have any money or service on my phone. It was grey and there were no waves. I was like, this is all a bit much, you know. And I arrived, and I think just that disparity between what I was expecting versus the reality I was confronted with put me in a bit of a weird place. Very quickly, I eased into it.
Yeah.
Very quickly, I met some lovely people at the hostel I was staying at, made some good friends, as you know, and just sort of eased into the way of life. I went into the ocean, had a dip, and that just calmed me, completely grounded me. I felt. Something I should say is whenever I do go into the ocean, I'll say this more later on, but it's like I almost feel like when I dive in, washing away this like sort of energy, this layer of sort of, I don't know, this layer of energy away from me. Nothing spiritual, nothing scientific to it, but it's quite a nice grounding feeling as well to it as well. So yeah, went into the sea, felt a little bit better as well.
Nice.
And that was the first intro to Tagazu. I have gotten rather ill since getting here. Oh,
I was going to say, when was this coming? You have a little tale to tell.
So I've got a little tale to tell everyone, a little bit of story time.
You are streetwise, to be fair.
I do want to preface, this story is more embarrassing than anything else, really. I'd like to think, also some context, that from my travels, I've gained some street cred, some like street knowledge.
Street cred.
I know a little bit about what's happening when traveling. Rock on. I know a little bit about when traveling, the do's and don'ts, who not to speak to, what not to do. So anyway, I arrive into this town. I go on a walk. On me, I have my bum bag and a cap and a towel. And I just go on a walk around the town for an hour, exploring the different streets, seeing the different shops. I'm just wandering. For me, a great way to explore a place is just to wander aimlessly and just explore and just spend time in the actual streets itself. This town itself is rather small, but for me, it was just explorative, really. So I arrive, I go to the beach, I lay down my towel, go for a swim, all is well. I pick up my stuff, I go grab some lunch. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to wander some more before going back to hostel. In my bum bag, I should say, I have my phone, my keys, and about 30 quid worth of cash and my wallet.
Yeah.
So I go back to the beach before going to the hostel. I'm like, you know what, there are some guys playing some football like they would in Brazil on the beach, you know, doing these kicky-uppy and all this sort of cool stuff. So I'm just looking at them, watching them. The sun's starting to set in the mid-afternoon, mid-evening, and I'm like, this is wonderful. Yeah. It was beautiful. So I lay down the towel, I'm watching them, I go for a swim, I come back up onto the towel, and I lie down. Face is feeling like it's burning a little bit, so I'm like, oh god, I should put on some sun cream. I reach for the bag to like grab my cap to shave my face.
And where is it?
It's not there.
Oh,
I look around.
Oh my god, goodness.
So I look around, I'm like, maybe it's under my towel. I lift up my towel.
Da, da, da.
There's no bag. I very quickly realised, as that was the only other belonging in the towel, my bag was gone. I look around, I'm like, oh,
on a bicycle.
Jesus, what's happened here? About 10 minutes prior to this, on the beach, next to me, I saw these two UK guys buying some weed off this like shady-looking guy who's wearing a trilby. I've seen him several times since. He was a bit shady as well. Yeah. He was a little bit shady.
Don't worry, he won't be doing it again since I've spoken to him.
No, Mark's has given him the whole rundown, haven't you?
He met Cagney, he met Lacey, and that's all I need to say. Anyway,
Jim Bones and old Moriarty here.
He did indeed.
So anyway, I go up to him like, hey, brother, my wallet, did you see anything whilst I was on my towel? Went for a swim. My bag? He's like, no, I was looking this way. I was like, oh, are you sure? He's like, no, sorry. I was like, oh, I think my wallet's been stolen. I think my cards have been stolen. I'm like, oh, god damn, you know. Really, really annoyed. And he's like, well, maybe I can speak to some people and tomorrow I'll find your cash.
My guy.
I was like,
I bet you can.
Why? And he's like, oh, let me speak to some people. I know people. I was like, who are you going to speak to? He's like, just relax, brother. Chill out. Morocco is chill. I was like, I'm getting bad vibes from this guy. He clearly knows what's happening. He's not telling me.
Yep.
So anyway, one of the footballer guys who's playing football in the group walks up. He's like, hey, brother, where are you from? I was like, London, in a very peed off way. This guy on the beach tells the guy who's playing football about the incident. His face drops. He's like, oh, put your number into WhatsApp and I then, message you if I find anything. I'm like, okay, whatever. I go back to the hostel, defeated, first day, all my money's been robbed and my cards are gone. Got nothing. I'm like, oh god, how am I going to get money out? Like, the hostel's got to sponsor me until Marcus arrives, the safety brigade.
I got a text like, I've been mugged or robbed or something. And immediately I was like, crap, that everything's been taken in my mind. So I was... embassy, all those sorts of things.
Luckily, my phone was wrapped in my shirt, which was in my books, next to my towel, so they didn't see that. Yeah. I get back to the hostel, I tell the lady I'm there freezing my cards, and in the process, I get a WhatsApp call. And it's the guy from the beach. I'm like, hello? He's on video. He's like, come, brother, come. I'm like, what? What? He's like, I've found your wallet. Come here.
You've been punked.
Okay, so I run from the hostel. The lady at the reception was like, just be careful, please. Just have your wits about you. At this point, I message you, the guy's calling me, gotta go, and what were you thinking when I was texting this?
Well, I'd already I'd already gone on to ChatGPT and said, wallet stolen, whatever, in Tagazoot, what are the steps to take? Obviously, it's obvious you cancel your cards and all those things, but I don't know where the places are, and I'm trying to help.
I know cards to put out money.
So it was telling me where to go and what to do, and then fortunately,
I run back, and the guy, the football guy with the long hair, came and he takes me to one of these fishing boats on the beach, and out of nowhere pulls out my bag with my wallet in it and opens the wallet, and in broken English, in this French English, he's like, the kids, l'enfant, need to eat. They need to eat and drink, and they take cash cards. No worry, they don't care about cards, but the cash, they only want to eat. And I was like, right. And then he has the absolute gall to turn around and was like, for my help, 20 dirhams? I genuinely just stare at him and open my wallet, look down, look up, look down again, look up. And I say, I have been robbed blind. I look down and look up. And then I look down and look up again. I'm like, I've got nothing left.
I've got nothing left. Oh dear. Well,
anyway, I then find it. I go back and print some money, and I tell you, again, more embarrassing than anything else, that first day I was robbed.
That is a little bit embarrassing. I'm the opposite to you. You have, in terms of talking about moods and things and our well-being and whatnot. I have a very high threat sensitivity and you have a very low threat sensitivity, which spans across all domains of our lives. Interactions with new people or whatever, decisions to go to certain places or be out at a certain time, place, location, whatever. For me, that is a prime example of my high threat sensitivity. Immediately, I would not leave my friggin' bum bag or handbag or whatever.
My man satchel.
My purse. It's a man purse.
It's a man purse,
on the beach. The other day, I was literally thinking about it. I was on my own on this beach down here, and there was a lady behind me, very friendly lady. My water bottle, this little baby foal, knocked my water bottle over. I was trying to actually eat my sandals, and she helped and picked it up and was like, "Oh, here you go." And she was just behind me for ages. And even then, I'm sure she's a lovely person and would never do anything. But even then, I was like, I've never met this person before. I can't trust, so I'm not going to leave my phone here. I can't ask her to protect my phone. Whereas, I think somewhere in the middle is probably helpful.
No, I was very much way too trusting there, and I walked up to the drug dealer to ask him as well, because that's how had a bit of a knock-on effect. Whenever he sees me in the street, he's like, "For my help, buy me a coffee." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that because I know you were in on it the whole time."
For his help, I saw
Marcus just stepped in and spat on him. It was great.
Spat on him. You don't want to see him. He's not in a good way.
He's not. That was a rocky start to
he won't be doing that again.
I've got to preface, this town is lovely though. I would recommend coming here. It is a beautiful town. The people are lovely on the whole. If you see a dude who's got peeling shoulders and wearing a trilby, have some caution, as I have taught you that. We have taught you that. But yeah, overall, a beautiful town. I'm a little bit ill. I've eaten something. I will be honest, I am very loud about having a very strong gut biome, and I've been humbled here.
Yeah.
Haven't I?
Yeah.
It's been rough.
But you talk a lot about having a good, strong stomach, but for the last 3 weeks, you've had a bad stomach. So
it's a bit embarrassing.
There's a mismatch going on there. Yeah. Manifestation, I guess.
I don't know why. I've always been like, my stomach's bulletproof. I'm never ill. Like a whole month, I've just been like in absolute mess.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
We went to the pharmacy and sorted some stuff out.
You did get to the pharmacy. So. You got me some antibiotics, which was lovely.
Yeah. Hopefully.
That's been my week a little bit. Just relaxing, doing some surfing, which has been beautiful, getting robbed and exploring a new culture. And you going on Wednesday, so apart from that though, how has your week been?
So obviously we know by now, having spoken about it many times, we moved house. So on the weekend before I came here, I was gardening all weekend, which was super fun. I had fights with the bushes. My cuts have healed now because I'm in the sun, but I was black and I was covered in bruises and was really fun. I wasn't going to get involved. Ross, one of our housemates' parents came, and I was kind of thinking, I'll just do bits in the house. I'll sort the sitting room out, all these things. I'll let them have a family day. And then Ross said, "Oh, there's the shiz there. Do you want to just do that thing from your bedroom window?" Because my bedroom window is covered in wisteria.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the second I started, I should have known. There was no turning back, and I just was a man possessed. I was standing in the garden. Where's the shade? There's the shade. Where's the shade coming from? Where's the source of the shade? There's the source of the shade. You've got to go. And just over and over and over again. I ended up going to the next door neighbour's house, was cutting from his garden. Yeah. Was great. So we have a lot more monkey. Because our garden was extremely overgrown and so dark in there. The grass couldn't even grow because it was so dark. So something needed to happen, which I did, and it was really fun. And then arrived here. Within the first hour, I was told I looked like a camel, Boris Johnson. I worked really hard on trying to feel good about myself and my appearance. I don't have most confident. I'm not the most confident in my appearance anyway. And like I say, work hard on trying on a daily basis to make myself feel confident. Some random guy, albeit he had no teeth himself.
So I think one tooth just out of 20.
Nothing wrong if you have teeth problems, whatever. But just glass houses and all that. And then the next day, someone was like, someone else came up to me, "Brother, you're red like a carrot." I was like, what is going on? Leave me alone.
And you've been offered hash like 50 times.
I don't know what about my face, but about 60 people have offered me hash. And they all say, "Oh, it's so relaxing here. It's so relaxing," all while being really intense and in my face about it. And I'm just like, there's an irony here that is
tell them that you said to me like you finally gave up and was like stern to someone as well.
Oh yeah. So because everyone here is so intense with trying to sell you things. It takes certain patience to continually politely say, "No, I'm okay, thank you, have a nice day." And after a couple of hours of that happening, and I was just trying to relax, this guy came over with a horse. And firstly, I was already feeling some type of way about the horses and the camels on this beach just being walked up and down, whipped all day long. It already peed me off. So he came up to the horse and just wouldn't leave me alone. And I just went, no, thank you. And what did he say? He was like, what's up, brother? You in a bad mood or something? Why are you not happy, brother? And I was like, I am happy, thank you very much.
Just don't want your bloody weed. Is it? I don't want your drugs.
I don't want your horse. Right.
I don't want your horse or your drugs. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. So
what an intro you've had to Morocco.
Yes, but went surfing for the first time yesterday, which was fun.
You did.
Was nervous for it. Still am.
You were great.
Obviously, I don't have a reference point, but Charlie said I was good.
He was surfing. For anyone who knows surfing, he was surfing green waves, which is the unbroken wave, within 20 minutes. Like I was behind him, sort of saying, pushing the board gently and saying up, but like your balance was instantly fantastic. You turned on these waves. It takes sessions and sessions to even stand up on a board on whitewater. Within 20 minutes, you were surfing a green wave. Is nuts.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You were great. We're going again tonight, aren't we?
I think your competitive streak came out for 1 second before you realised.
Did it?
Yesterday.
What happened?
Because I've been really nervous, and naturally, as we spoke about in the hobbies, I don't like being bad at things. So I was really nervous, and I've said, and I have done in the past with windsurfing, as I mentioned in the hobby episode, I was secretly happy when it didn't, because I didn't have to go through the discomfort of being bad and being rubbish and just finding it scary. So I was really nervous going into surfing, and more so than maybe a typical person, and was very honest about being nervous to Charlie. And then as soon as I started to be kind of good, I was immediately happy and really proud of myself. I was like, I think I could be really good at surfing, Charlie. And you were like, all right, don't get carried away or something. And I was like, oh, okay. I was real supportive.
I was supporting you for the whole hour. I was just trying to encourage some humility. Again, I thought you were great.
Because I'm usually really arrogant, aren't I?
More than you just love it. You love yourself so much, mate.
I do. So I did need to be brought back down. To be fair,
I had to humble you a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was good. I enjoyed it. So yeah, yeah. It should be okay. I don't know. I'm still very nervous about it, but we'll see. But no, it's been fun. And going to Marrakesh in a couple of days.
It's actually that.
There's not sea or ocean at Marrakesh, though.
Marrakesh is landlocked, isn't it? It's
no,
inland.
We're taking in all of the ocean we can get here, right?
Trying to. It's high tide in about... it's low tide, sorry, in about 2 hours, and it's coming in now. So I think after this episode, we're going to go for a little sunset surf, aren't we? Grab some waves, and there's the sun setting. It doesn't quite get better than that.
No.
We should preface this is not our regular lives. For any regular listeners, you might know this, but London not having any sea for this trip was meant for this sort of thing. So very grateful that we have the ability to come out here and do this as well, record and go for a surf as well. But it's not normal for us. We should preface that as well.
But yeah, before we go over to the water later, let's talk water here.
Let's talk water now. Exactly that. Well, I thought I'd start off with a bit of our own personal ocean journeys. We are going to cover some lessons from ocean life, which gets quite interesting, but I still think prefaces a bit with our own personal ocean journeys. Do you have any? Let's go down ocean memory lane.
Ocean memory lane.
Let's swim down ocean memory lane.
Ask me.
What is your favourite ocean memory?
I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's not even the ocean. That is not funny. My most viewed video actually not anymore. My most viewed video, my second most viewed video on social media was it's on TikTok for anyone that wants to see. It's run with Mark as my handle, is Ocean Gate. It's not funny.
What's that?
People passed away. People died in the tragedy of, Ocean Gate, the submersible.
Oh my god!
And it just reminded me when you said, "What's your ocean memory?" It's a TikTok of me just being dumb, watching videos about the submersible in the ocean, and because it was Ocean Gate.
Hey, if that's your ocean memory, then that's that. It's sad,
got something like 2 million views or something.
Jesus.
And yeah, again, just Ocean Gates. God, there's a documentary coming out about that. I saw an advert this morning, actually.
Recently, the noise of the submarine.
Yes, I saw that.
Imploding was released. Sad stuff.
So that's a memory of the ocean for me.
Anyway,
no, that is a memory of the ocean for me.
It's a good memory.
Thank you very much. My other memories of the ocean, I don't have loads, to be fair.
Spain, your house by the sea.
No, I know, but what I was about to say is, growing up, my mum was very scared of the sea, and it was always like, don't go too far, you don't know, you can't predict it, the tides and the currents can take you out, and before you know it you'll be in whatever. So quite a bit of nervousness around that there. So I'm not one of these kids like yourself who have done loads of water sports growing up, or wakeboarding and jet skiing and all these things. I actually don't have that many memories with open water. I do also find it quite unnerving, probably from how I grew up. Even now, the other day I ran here. I've been absolutely loving the runs here. And there's a what would you call it? Like an offshoot of rocks that kind of breaks up the two coves. Yeah, a headland of rocks that breaks up the two different coves.
Bays.
Yeah. So I decided to swim around the rocks to get from one bay to the other. And even in doing that, I started to panic, like, I'm going to get dragged out, all this stuff in my mind. I was like, relax, you're going to be fine. You can literally stand up.
If it's how you brought up, then that's...
Yeah, so that's kind of but I do have, I guess, this isn't the ocean, this is the sea, if not the channel, but the Solent. Ross, again, one of the housemates, his family used to have a little rib. What does a rib stand for? It's basically like an inflatable powerboat, like a mini
rigid inflatable boat.
I don't know. I'm not the person, but anyway,
rigid inflatable boat.
It was like a 5 to 6 to 8 person. I don't really know. Inflatable powerboat, and we would go from the New Forest over to the Isle of Wight, and there were just memories of sort of every summer going on that boat, and we'd call it Mini Italy, a little bit of land that no one was at, called just off of Yarmouth on the Isle of Wight, and we would anchor up there and just bring picnics, the works, all the nice foods, little charcuterie, whatever. Not meat for me, but anyway, and just no, I'm a vegetarian actually. Nice. And just bask in the sun all day and bathe and go in and out of the water, jump in and out, and it was just glorious.
Isn't it?
That's probably my only main memory with the sea. Maybe I'm not thinking of something, but
fair enough.
Yeah, that's the one for me.
Incredible.
Yeah,
that is just as valid as that you're playing in Mother Nature. You're enjoying.
What about you?
Got a few. I think
got a few.
It's interesting that you mentioned your mum having grown up with this sort of fear. My mum, I think, likes the sea, can't put her head underwater for love nor money. She doesn't like it. I think she's always been like that. Whereas my dad has always been a bit of a water sport guy. He's grew up sailing, grew up windsurfing, and me and my brothers carried that on as well.
Yeah.
We, at the age of 12, had my first sailing qualification, always sailing in the River Thames, at least outside our house, which was great. On trips to Greece, one of my fondest memories was I was 10. We were in Civita in Greece, and I remember we were at like a Nielsen holiday. Do you know Nielsen?
Yes.
It's like
I know of.
Yeah. It's like an all-inclusive sort of sports holiday. We were younger, and I think my dad enjoyed it because he could go off, and we also did some stuff. So I was 10, and one of the activities I was doing was wakeboarding. My first time ever, and if you're new and I think you're a kid, you basically have this metal pole perpendicular on a boat, so you basically hold on to that. So when the boat comes up, or when the boat speeds up, you're just holding on instead of out the back traditionally where you have a rope. Yeah. So I remember I did that wakeboarding. First time I went on a wakeboard, I stood up. Loved it. So then they put me on the back with a rope. First time stood up. I was like, oh, this is great. And they were like, okay, let's try water skiing, because they had all the skis and stuff on the boat. So I did the pole, water skis, stood up. And they're like, wow! I remember just like, they were all on the boat just clapping. I was like, yeah, this is great. Yeah. Same thing happened on the rope at the back. I stood up straight away, and I was like, this is great. But it's just in the bay, we were like pottering around. We then tried monoskiing, and I think we just tried that at the back, because I was like, yeah, let's try it. Couldn't do it. Never tried it since. The water was on my face, just kept me going. But anyway, one of my fondest memories was just being on the back of that boat, pulled around. We then, about 3 years later, had a wakeboarding holiday where we went to these lakes in the middle of Spain in Cordoba.
Okay.
Cordoba. In these lakes, and just went wakeboarding for the whole time.
Nice.
Every day, twice a day for like a week, which was fantastic.
So
super grateful for that. As I said, always grown up sailing. Another really fun memory, I think I've told you, was the paddleboard adventures in university.
Okay.
With my friend Oscar. He had a blow up paddleboard, and I went to university in Plymouth. And just in the bay of Plymouth Sound, there's a little island called Francis Drake Island. Sir Francis Drake Island, he's a famous adventurer, explorer, who set off from Plymouth, UK, and landed in Plymouth, USA. And so a lot of Plymouth is in his name. And it's this little island which was used back in the wartime. And it's about a 20-minute paddleboard out from the bay to this island. So me and Oscar set off from this little beach. We pump up with the paddleboard, set on. We have a waterproof backpack with our phones and t-shirts wrapped on, strapped to the paddleboard, and we set off. He's on the front, I'm at the back, paddling like that, getting him across. We look to the left, and for a bit of context, if you don't know, Plymouth is home to some of the largest naval destroyer ships in the world that the UK may have. So we look to our left, and incoming is this Navy destroyer ship, hundreds of feet long, and these police escorts right ahead of it.
My life.
One of them comes up ahead of us. We're halfway between both of these coasts, and this police guard comes and says, "Get out of the way, there's a Navy destroyer." I'm there with a single paddle, with my friend on the front of the paddleboard, paddling as fast as I can. Get away, like, come on.
Oh
So we're trying to paddle as quick as we can. We end up making it. We get onto the island and explore, but that just memory of having this huge destroyer, scary stuff, you know, just there paddling in my little canoe, just trying to get across. Terrifying, but that was a great memory. We always used to do those sort of trips in university, across that bay there as well. So that's the memories of the ocean for me.
Nice.
And yeah, I've always loved it. I've always resonated with it a little bit as well. So
amazing. You probably just saw us absolutely struggling in the sun, and I was trying to eye to Charlie, but he wasn't picking up, so we've just had to cut to but yes, I was listening. Very nice memory in the scary but interesting memory in Plymouth.
It's great. So that's a little bit of just me growing up around the ocean as well.
Yes.
Do you at all? I know you. Maybe if I'm assuming, I should ask you first. Do you lean on or rely on the ocean at all in this day-to-day in our adulthood? It's completely fine if no. Do you? Does it teach you?
What do you mean?
So for me, it's maybe a bit different because of my degree, but but for me, I don't know. Whenever I come back from London or go away from London, and if I'm okay, this is a bit of a weird fact, but whenever I'm really stressed, I'll play the Finding Nemo tune.
Nice.
Finding Nemo main theme tune.
Lovely.
It was my most listened to song in 2024.
That's cool.
Nemo Egg main title by John
so
Newman.
Funny.
Most listened to song the whole of the year. And for me, it just brings such a sense of calm. I do think I've got a little bit more experience. But yeah, for me, it really helps in adulthood when I get stressed. It's just like an anchor point to me.
I'd love to know what it is about certain things that we as individuals are connect us to them. For you, what it is about the ocean that brings such an innate and clearly emotionally responsive feeling or whatever connection to you, because it's your go-to, your most played song on Spotify, all of those sorts of things. I'd love to know what that is.
Well, if you want to, we can look at some why the ocean is good for well-being, for instance, but I know before we go on to that,
do you know for yourself any particular?
I think I'll really try and just think about it. For me, it puts a lot of things into perspective. Yeah, just the vastness of the ocean, how big it is, everything that's going on underneath. It's a completely different world for hundreds of miles, stretching across everything. And for me, like if I can't, like, at least even looking on a picture of the ocean, it just brings me the sense of calm. I think in my day-to-day in London, it's so busy, and I get a lot of the time caught up in everything that, especially with what we're doing now. It's busy, it's hectic, and I love it so much. But for me, the ocean resembles perspective, peace, and I mean, just perspective that there are things bigger than myself. And that this too shall pass. It's what we say with everything, is that there will always be the waves crashing, the tides come and go. Everything the ocean resembles is just, it's peace. For me. So when I associate, I don't know, movies like Finding Nemo with it, I think that's overall what it helps. It calms me down and just maybe relaxes me. It really anchors me, I think, and really helps me feel quite grounded.
It's lovely.
It's lovely that I've been able to find that in
definitely
something like the ocean as well.
Definitely. For sure.
Yeah. But I think that lends itself onto how the ocean's good for well-being as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, in answering your question, I don't think I use it on a daily basis. I didn't know whether you were sort of leading on to, not a trick question, but because obviously we probably all do use the ocean on a daily basis from a ecological perspective or whatever, environmental standpoint. But no, for my well-being, I wouldn't say I rely on it. Don't get me wrong, when I'm around it or near it, it's nice and peaceful. And I think for me, I'm just so drawn to nature in general. Nature in itself. So the beach or the sea being part of that is one of those things. But that's because it's part of nature, not necessarily because it's the sea or the ocean or the beach. I just love the connection to nature and being present with nature. and feeling connected to it in that way, which is why, cities are great and enjoy it and all those things. But I, having grown up in the countryside, always love the stillness of just being around nature and the peace and the tranquility. Yeah, well, I think I love the countryside because it's nature.
Yeah.
One of my favorite places to go is the New Forest, because it's nature, and back being connected to that. And it's the peacefulness, the tranquility, the stillness, and just, I guess, as I don't necessarily subscribe to moving away from modern lifestyles and all those things, but so me saying this out loud sounds weird, but I guess it's being close to where we came from, I guess.
Completely. I think that's absolutely fine to say.
Yeah. But so the sea and the beach is one of those things, but it's one of several forms of nature. I'm not distinctly drawn towards the sea and the ocean compared to, I don't know, the mountains and the rolling hills or the forests. Yeah. It's
all one connected thing, isn't it? It's all one. I mean, it's one Earth.
Yeah.
It's all got different energies and stuff. But no, I completely agree. I think just being back in nature overall is one of the most healing things that we can do.
For me, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we're pulling on it,
please do.
We have Wallace J. Nichols.
Come prepared.
Yeah, I've come prepared here, guys. There's actually a theory called the blue mind theory.
Go on.
There was a researcher or a scientist called Wallace J. Nichols. He basically used the term blue mind theory. It's a term used to describe ocean-related peace and tranquility, almost. So it basically says that spending time near blue spaces like the ocean, for instance, has actually been shown to lower stress and increase happiness. That's literally what it's been shown to do. So, we'll put the blue mind theory.
We'll put that reference in the description, will we?
We'll put it down below, guys, in the description. But the blue mind theory literally scientifically says...
I mean, I can see there's so much psychological theory that would support that, definitely.
Yeah. No. It's really interesting, I think that is. I mean, research also does show that even ocean noises has shown to reduce anxiety as well.
Well, there's a reason why you ask Alexa to play, and again, for me, it's more nature in general, but either ocean noises or forest noises or whatever, it's all nature. You're not going to listen to well, maybe some people do, but Alexa, play construction site to get me to sleep. Drilling, whatever.
Alexa, play police sirens and muggings to set me to sleep. We're back in Shoreditch.
You never know. Everyone's got their vices.
Everyone's got their things.
And there's a reason why it's calming and it's feeling, peace and all those things. Potentially. I don't know. I myself don't know enough of the theory and the research into our connection to nature, personally. As we know, I'm an evolutionary psychologist, so that completely makes sense in itself, being connected to our environment of evolutionary adaptation, being nature, not high-rise flats.
Yeah.
There's two stark examples for the sake of illustrating what I'm trying to say.
Came from the ocean, though.
Yes.
Evolution says we literally came from the ocean. I know this is a very biological, very reductionist, almost too far maybe for me to say, because
millions of years ago
evolved from millions of years ago from cells in the ocean that we now find the ocean calming. I'm not going to try and make that link, but a lot of communities, a lot of people we've come from fishing communities. People have lived by the ocean. Now that is who we used to be,
for sure.
So it doesn't surprise me that when research says hearing the ocean triggers a relaxation response in the hormonal in the nervous system, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No,
it makes complete sense.
Triggers what is it?
A relaxation response.
Yeah, I wonder what system that is. I'm not asking you what to say, because probably the parasympathetic nervous system or something, which is the calming one.
The limbic, no, that's the emotional.
Anyway,
limbic system, isn't it?
Regardless.
Sorry. What happened there? I fell asleep. I was so relaxed.
Yes, very true. I don't know if you want me to talk about this now, but I just also wanted to say about the David Attenborough documentary.
Please.
I know you already mentioned it.
No, we're going to get onto it, but please talk about it.
Shall I leave it for now?
Talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We watched it. What's it called specifically?
It's called Oceans. Oceans, that's it.
With David Attenborough.
Oceans with David Attenborough.
My word. I love, like I've just said, nature, the oceans, but I was kind of going into it with a mindset of, this is going to be really cool and I'm going to really enjoy this, but I'm sitting here next to Charlie, who's obsessed with the oceans. I'm going to be sitting next to Charlie, who's going to be jaw dropped the whole time, and I'm gonna love it. But comparatively, you know, I was there just in awe.
I saw your mouth open almost.
Literally, I had catching flies, honestly, like that. It was insane.
You look like a camel on the beach.
For me, it's what nature produces. Those colours of those fish, or what were they called that I asked you afterwards? They looked like they were grass, but they were animals. They were neon green.
It was just coral polyps.
Okay, whatever they were, but they were insane. And then the plankton as well.
Coral is an animal.
In this documentary, they were saying this is the closest, highest definition footage we've ever had of the plankton. The plankton,
phytoplankton, isn't it? I think it
was incredible, phenomenal. Just,
my God,
I can't put words to it. It was insane. And then obviously coupled with everything about, you know, the bottom trawling and things, which I don't know anywhere near enough about, but feel like I need to know more. You know, I watched Seaspiracy years ago and was already a vegetarian when I watched it, and felt so bad about the impact of industrial fishing on the oceans. I felt like I needed to do something more, so I was like, let me try and be a vegan. Not that this has anything to do with the oceans, but because I just need to save the environment even more than being vegetarian. And I'm not a vegan. I'm not preaching.
I've stopped eating fish. I've not eaten fish, any form of fish, for like 10 months now.
Do you want to talk about that?
I can do. I mean, yeah, we are going to very much go on to how it's important to be conscious of your environment as well. But for me, living in London, I don't really have access to fresh fish or locally sustainably caught fish. A bit of what you were saying there, bottom trawling. So the majority of the fish, at least caught in the UK and worldwide, is done by a method called bottom trawling. And this is part of what the documentary was showing, was that even in marine protected areas, MPAs, which are meant to be areas which every country has, which is almost like a reserve in the ocean where you aren't allowed to fish, all these sorts of things. In the UK, it's up to 90% of MPAs actually still allow bottom trawling. And as I just said, bottom trawling, which is what it was showing, is one of the main ways that we still fish. Now, what it is, basically these fishing boats put a huge chain line on the seabed. Attached to this chain is this massive net coming behind it. So the boat goes along, drags along this chain, which goes on the bottom of the floor with this net behind it.
Can I just interrupt?
Please.
I don't think the word chain illustrates how intense or aggressive it is.
The chain's as thick as our bodies.
Yeah, these chains are gigantic. Yeah, and it's not a chain that you would see in, you know, a normal chain. They are gigantic, and this is industrial stuff. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's exactly that. So there was an after sort of movie credit scene with one of the lead photographers, and when he was approached and asked to do this film, one of the first things that he said he wanted to film to let everyone know was bottom trawling, and he used a great phrase to describe what he found. It was abject destruction of the ocean floor. It really hit me, or it sat with me really well, because it literally is that. This chain, this massive industrial chain, is dragged along the seafloor. Anything in its path, coral, rock, stingrays, sharks, fish, it's all captured and just destroyed. And afterwards, you've got to see the sandy seabed. That's it.
Just a graveyard.
A graveyard. And it's all usually for one species as well, which is the saddest thing. And unfortunately not, that's exactly how we actually catch most of our fish. So knowing that, having learnt from that in my degree and paid to learn that, it just made no sense to me to eat fish. I still do eat meat. It's a bit controversial. This doesn't make a lot of sense if I was to try and break it down, but for me, it's just one step at a time where, you know, I've learnt about it. I know the awful consequences of it, so I'm not going to actively partake into contributing to this fishing practice, which is actually one of the biggest destroyers of our oceans. What's up?
No, I don't want to get into a conversation
about me too.
Yeah.
It doesn't. No, I completely appreciate me saying I don't eat fish, but then I go and buy chicken from Sainsbury's.
Ignorance is bliss.
No, I know. If I was to properly pull it back, I'd stop eating it altogether. It's not at that point yet.
No, and that's not what we're here to talk about anyway.
Of course not. But no, I think one of the main reasons we're also here talking about this is, having watched the documentary, I, for one, think it's fantastic that this documentary is in oceans, in cinema, as well.
Yes, definitely.
One thing which is huge in science is how do we make it accessible to people, as you know.
How to disseminate the information.
How do you get it to educate? How do you educate the younger generation, the older generation, so just people know?
I guess speaking from my experience as a scientist myself,
Yeah.
with a PhD. We are so rigid as scientists, so formulaic. So we have to conduct the research. It has to be rigorous. It must have gone through all of these checks and be reliable, valid, all of these things.
Yeah.
Then we must publish it in an academic journal, do it at a conference, and do that cycle over and over again. And no wonder people aren't finding these things out. How does the layperson know about those sorts of things? How does your Debbie, who works at wherever in sales down the road, know about these things? It's so sort of it's a barrier to entry to information when it's so. Who do you know that? Maybe you do, but the majority of people don't necessarily sit and read academic journals or go to academic conferences.
Yeah.
It's so important. And from my perspective, in my research, I'm always trying to, even with this podcast, finding ways to disseminate information in a more approachable and consumable manner, so people feel empowered by knowing knowledge is power, and why gatekeep information. And I don't know that it's an intentional thing, but in sticking to that rigidity of this is the formula, it does just, whether intentionally or unintentionally, gatekeep information from people. And how do we expect people to be able to make change, feel empowered, do all of these things if they don't even have the information? What I said to you when we left the film was how brilliant that it was. I very quickly noticed the language that David Attenborough was using, and obviously the script that he was reading to
Layman's
was
terms.
such simple sentences, not one, well, obviously probably a few, but not one compound sentence, not one complex sentence. Such simple sentences, to a point where intentionally, I believe, it was done so, a 7, 8, 9-year-old would be able to consume some of that information. It was so simple. And, some might argue, oh, we're dumbing everything down. But no, it's important that people have access to this information, and it's not dumbing it down. It's just, why overcomplicate it with jargon and language that not everyone understands? I don't know enough about the oceans. I have a PhD in something completely unrelated, so I found it helpful to be able to consume that information and walk away feeling like I learned something.
What a barrier to entry is that to learn about the most important things in the world, you need to have a degree. That shouldn't be the case. Like, even David Attenborough, one of his biggest quotes is in the film or in the documentary was, "After a lifetime of filming and studying our world, I now realize that the most important place on Earth isn't our land, it's in our ocean." The question you're exactly saying is, why on earth does it take to have a degree or qualifications in something which is so inaccessible to start with, to know about such an important thing in the world? It should be like, if we're really getting granular.
Well, I think because, as he was saying in the documentary, it's out of sight, out of mind. Exactly. So when we have things, wars or genocides or mass poverty or whatever going on in the world, dictatorship, whatever it might be,
of course,
people are fatigued with being activists and are trying to care for, be altruistic, and that's even if people want to do that. So when there's then something that from having seen that, and from your research, it is so integral and important to the continued just functioning of our planet, and the sustainability of our planet, the basic sustainability of our planet. If it's out of sight, out of mind, people don't necessarily know that. And it's also something, because it's not in your face, you can easily forget it and think about it tomorrow. It's like any chore you have to do that if you don't see it, if you don't see the laundry pile there, you'll just do it another day.
It's why,
I don't know.
It's why when you brought this episode to me, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. It's why we went to see the film. As someone like myself who's really passionate about the oceans, I myself allow myself to let it be out of sight, out of mind.
As someone who doesn't know, and I'm learning on the go, I'm listening to our conversation as more so, I think, in the mindset of our listeners would be than you are. What I would want to know now, I think, as a listener, is we're talking about this and preaching about this, not preaching, but saying why it's important to know these things. And we've alluded to bottom trawling being bad because of the destruction, but I don't mean to put you on the spot, but please, what is some of the information about what we're doing in the oceans and what or the impact it's having on the environment?
So, first off, the ocean is one of our greatest holds of carbon, one of our greatest sinks of carbon. Basically, carbon dioxide in the environment.
It's the biggest.
It's the biggest sink in the world, the ocean. It holds the most carbon, which means it's incredibly important for reducing the warming of our planet as well. Now we're going through a bit of a climate crisis. The Earth is warming, just through a lot of things. Bottom trawling drags across the seabed. Okay, as we just said, destroying whatever that is there. Typically on the seabed is where you see things like seagrass and coral. Now, seagrass is like imagine a big meadow outside, a meadow which people frolic in, right? Yeah, it's like that underwater.
Our brains can't even comprehend the size of these.
The size of these seagrass meadows is it's incomprehensible how big they are. Now, seagrass meadows have been found. The actual biggest seagrass meadow is recently found as well.
Which is so cool.
I can't. Multiple football fields. I mean, more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thousands. Yeah. Question, sorry, this is a sidetrack. What is it the open oceans? Is this the thing that we don't know about and they're far out? You know, at the beginning they were saying this is it open oceans or deep oceans or something?
Deep oceans, we still don't know a lot about
anything.
Our deep oceans.
Yeah.
So, like shallow oceans we know, or the shallow waters we do know a lot more about. Open, deep oceans, we just haven't got a lot of exploration.
Okay, sorry, that was a sidetrack.
No, it's fine. In like recent years we have, but there's still a lot there we don't know as well, and we're still learning to this day.
These meadows aren't in those, so they're...
No, these meadows need sunlight to grow. Okay. But the thing with these meadows, with this seagrass, is that they are up to 35 times greater at holding carbon than our tropical rainforests, which have previously been thought to be our biggest carbon sink. So if that doesn't tell you that how important the ocean is to first off regulate our climate, then that I don't know what does that answer your question?
100%. To interrupt you, please. If you ask someone about saving the planet or how does industrial action damage the planet and therefore contributes to climate change?
Yeah.
Myself included, we'd say the destruction of the Amazon rainforest because the trees are what soaks up the carbon and produces oxygen, those sorts of things. We don't know. I speaking for myself, don't know the impact or the rich benefit, the incomprehensible benefit of these meadows or the sea plants. I'm trying my best here. The sea plants in soaking up this carbon, which is ultimately the huge. Every scientist is trying to find a way to get rid of carbon dioxide and get rid of it and reduce it, and we can't. We don't know how. And it's what everyone's trying to do, and someone's trying to find the magic key where we have these plants that are literally being destroyed by thousands and thousands of acres on a daily basis across the oceans because we're trying to, from an industrial level, trying to fish one species of fish
and feed everyone with that as well, which isn't sustainable at all. No, so
what I found heartbreaking is you'd see them bring these huge farms up on these giant boats that are farms you can't even imagine.
Yeah,
and they would just dump everything back out again once it's dead.
It's
because they only wanted this one thing, so they're just destroying this whole ocean bed for this one thing.
It's disgusting,
and in doing so, you're not only killing things for the sake of killing, well, not for the sake of, arguably you're trying to get a species fine, whatever, I don't want to debate that, but you're also, I think the bigger issue here, which is what David Attenborough was talking about and what you're so passionate about, rightfully so, is the knock-on effect on the environment.
Exactly that. It's beyond wasteful. Is the bycatch, like as you said, as humans we are wasteful, unfortunately, in all elements of life. But with this, seeing the life killed pointlessly to get this one species, and these alive or these half dead animals being chucked back into the ocean which will die, it's sad. And again, a part of this bottom trawler to get the species is it wipes out all this coral and this seagrass, and it stirs up this sand and the top layer of sand in these on the seabed as well. That's also a massive carbon sink as well. It stores so much carbon in that top layer of sand. This huge chain just goes through the bottom of the seabed, like ripping up this sand. It churns up so much carbon, and that is what is heating up our oceans massively. And it's really easy when I don't know, I'm guilty of this because I still eat meat, but pick up that packet of salmon and you're like, you're so far removed from the idea, but it is unfortunately contributing to the effects. And I'm not here to tell people what to do, what to eat. That's not what we're here for. But I loved that it was become more accessible, and it was easy to really understand the ramifications of what our actions are having.
Yeah. And again, I think what's important to say, again, from a layperson's perspective, even though I don't eat fish and I don't want to personally, from my opinion, support any animal farming or killing. David Attenborough very much is saying this isn't a fight against fishing. This is trying to make fishing better.
Yeah.
And if we can, ultimately, there are these protected areas that if they actually were protected, the regeneration and rebirth and regrowth of the oceans and all of the species within these areas that have been destroyed and have since been on the brink of extinction and just dying out, and all the coral reefs that have been on the brink of extinction and dying out, the regeneration is beyond, in terms of speed and
the resilience,
is beyond anything that any of these scientists and marine biologists could have predicted. And if they're protected, there's also the knock-on effect then that again, please, you probably said this better than me, but the knock-on effect of these fish, they're in these protected areas, but then they breed out of those areas, and then it allows this knock-on regeneration that bleeds out into outside of these protected areas. So we can start to regenerate these complete dead zones of the ocean, which had just been completely dying out. But that's what he's very good at doing, because it's David Attenborough and he's, BBC and all these things. We must have hope and we must always try. And it's very much was ending on these protected areas. We've shown, where was it, off the Gulf of Ware was the biggest one that's been working so far?
Is it California?
Oh yes, just off.
It was a like a no-take zone, a complete no-take zone off the coast of California.
Thriving,
bustling. Is it Catalina Islands? I think it was.
Okay.
It was, right? Was it? Or
you reminded me it's off California, but I don't know specifically where.
I think somewhere off the coast of California, it's been a complete no-take zone, a marine haven, I think they've listed it as, because a lot of marine protected areas are still fished. Complete no-take zone, there. It's like established, and as you've just said perfectly, it allows life to become so abundant, it's almost too full that it bleeds out into the area around it and just becomes more stable.
The intention, right?
Yeah, that's the intention as well. And it's almost, I know it's difficult and probably might annoy some people, especially when they're landlocked or in cities as well, but leaving sustainable fishing for the communities who rely on it. Now, I know for myself, I spent some time in Madagascar, 9 weeks in a real sort of rural coastal community of people who needed fish. The real effects are when you see these massive Chinese trawlers, but that was where it was in the I believe it's the Somalian Channel, between Somalia and Madagascar, in that channel, or the Mozambique Channel, sorry, in the Mozambique Channel. So these huge trawlers in the distance, just wiping up, and these local fishermen who are literally catching fish for their family come back with fewer and fewer and fewer fish. So it's again, it's not eating fish, it's how can we genuinely and sustainably start to catch fish better, and it's not done by bottom trawling.
No. So it's not even for me, the priority is the environment, because if we don't have the earth to live on, none of these things will matter.
Of course.
But also importantly, these communities, these millions of people who literally rely on this farming and fishing as their source of life, and everything. They are being outfished by these huge trawlers, and there's just no fishing. All of the species are dying off, and it's not just the fish are being taken, therefore there's no fish for them. It's everything that comes from that, the snowball effect, because this one species has been taken or whatever, or the coral reefs are being killed, therefore this fish can't survive because it relies on the coral reef, and therefore this fish then dies, and then everyone in this community who would typically fish these other fish, it's just the whole knock-on effect of
the network. It's one big connected thing, and again, I know we're going to get onto this in a little bit as well, but it all works really well. There's a term which in a lot of marine, we use it in daily life, is symbiosis. It's the link between two things. Now, symbiosis basically means things working in conjunction with each other. Now, there are 3 types of symbiosis. I'm going to speak specifically on marine animals, that's all right? Yeah. Just for the nature of the episode. Symbiosis, so say it's when 2 things work together. There is mutual symbiosis, there is parasitic, and there's communal. So mutual, a really good example is the goby fish and the pistol shrimp. What this means is that they both benefit off their relationship with each other. Often, if you go down to the bottom of the seabed, if you scuba dive at all, you'll see that there's a hole. A tiny little shrimp is digging out this hole, right? At the entrance to this hole is this goby fish looking outwards. Now, the pistol shrimp trying to dig out this hole can't see very well. So the pistol shrimp is keeping an eye out, and when you go too near it, they both disappear into the hole. Now, the idea is that the pistol shrimp has the strength to dig out a hole for them both to live in, can't see from predators, so the goby pairs, and you'll see everywhere. These two little creatures pair with each other. They just know it because nature is intended that way. So that's a great way of symbiosis. Now, parasitic is more. It's a great term of. It's a parasite. The host actively. I know that sort of disgusts you, but parasitic symbiosis is when the host. So, for instance, myself, if I have a parasite, I actively falter when the other party benefits.
You can't both thrive at the same time.
You can't, but one needs to, actively not thrive. And then you've got communal, where one doesn't do anything and then one piggybacks. A great term of this is the remora fish.
Mm-hmm.
So often on the bottom side of sharks or turtles, you'll see these fish swimming underneath them, stuck to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
they not benefit each other. I thought that those fish would take the algae or something off of the...
Oh, is it remora? There's a type of, I think it's a blue streak cleaner wrasse fish. Tiny little wrasse fish. Mm. They also stick or cling to little, bigger animals.
Yeah.
The idea is that they get protection from it. Mm. But the sharks also get cleaned as well. I think with remora fish, I don't think they clean or anything.
Okay.
I just think they're there for protection. Might be wrong, but that's I think, quite a good example of that.
Work smart, not hard.
Quite a funny example of these they're tiny little blue streak cleaner wrasse, because they're about that big, right? They have a blue streak along the side of them. They basically clean little bits. Mm. Now, when I was scuba diving in Thailand, I think also Madagascar as well, you'll often feel, if you aren't sure, they're nibble at your weenus, because there'll be bits of dead skin. A really funny thing, if you're brave enough, is take out your regulator, open your mouth, and they swim in and grab bits out of your mouth. It's really funny. I wouldn't trust myself to do it because of breathing. It just freaks me out. But still, different symbiosis. The reason I bring it up was because it's basically giving a great example that it's all connected. Mm. As you said, there's knock-on effect. The oceans are all connected. We are with it as well. So to be conscious of that, to be aware, it really just being more aware of our environment and everything else keep us grounded in a great way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just found it. I would really recommend people going to watch it. Not because it's sort of a big hysterical thing and moral panic or whatever. It's just, for me, I found it fascinating. And the first, not half, I would say first third or quarter, was just beautiful. I mean, before they got onto all of the destruction and things, it was
coral
just
reefs and animals.
Oh my god, it was incredible.
That's what I bought my dissertation was on the coral reefs. It was in the global. I actually studied the global trade the sustainability of the global trade in coral. Mm-hmm. So why we trade coral for aquariums, for jewelry, the history of that, and whether it's a sustainable practice. It's not, of course. But yeah, learning about it all is just amazing. About how nature just works in such an amazing way as well. It's beautiful, and as you saw. You've just seen these alien-like species underwater. You're like, what is that?
Yes, it's absolutely fascinating.
It's incredible.
And just reminds you, kind of like you say, it kind of gives you the perspective of here I am, this little thing, little ant on the earth.
Exactly that.
And this whole vast, because I think out of sight, out of mind, your mind can't even comprehend the vastness of the oceans.
Yeah.
It's kind of like anyway, sorry, I'm just going to sound stupid, so carry on.
Oh, go for it, what was it?
I was just going to say the oceans are literally like a planet that we have access to. Another planet within our Earth.
Only recently we've actually been able to scuba dive or explore it. It's why it's becoming so much more popular so quickly, but we need to make sure it's not too late before our kids can enjoy it as well, Hopefully soon. I mean, at the end, what all this is being made aware of, bringing it to cinemas is exactly that. It's just making it accessible, let people know as well. I mean, do you think it, I know you said there as well, it puts anything into perspective. Do you think it can be quite healing to see yourself as quite small and unimportant in the grand, vast scheme of things?
I don't know. Not sure on that one. Let me have a think. Healing, I think it just calls into question, the larger questions of the meaning of life and what are we all doing here, and whether that's a religious calling or a spiritual calling, or everything's so miraculously just aligned and working symbiotically and all of these things. It calls into question those sorts of thoughts of that's just a divine intervention. I'm not getting into religious conversations, but it is interesting to think about. And I guess then it makes you think, when you're stressed because your meeting's running over, or you know, you got a parking ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
Not invalidating feelings, because that's what we're never here to do, but it does sometimes just make you think, yeah, this is just one small moment in time in this huge, grand, vast, unimaginable sphere of everything, and the oceans are one example of that.
I completely agree with that. I think I do think feeling small in a good way puts things into perspective, as you said, and the ocean's visually a very good representation of that. I know you don't want to get too spiritual, but I know I mentioned to you before the yogi philosophy, the idea of prana, being life force energy. Now, I don't know a lot about it, but what I do know is that in yogi philosophy, they have this term called prana for life force energy. And it is quite literally that. Again, it's quite a spiritual practice, so I don't think there's a lot of science behind it, but still, it's the idea that life force energy, it's the energy that passes through, and they believe the ocean has a lot of prana, and so spending time next to the ocean can replenish and restore our prana as well. That's why it's healing. Now, there's not a lot of science to that, but if we're looking quite spiritually at it, which I know you and me often talk about how spiritual we might want to get, how healing is the ocean beyond scientific grounding, you know, effects or whatnot as well.
I know. That's why you love Moana. That's why you love Moana.
I love Moana. My word, it's one of my favourite Disney films as well.
Great film. Well, I would be surprised if you didn't like that film.
Yeah.
Because it's literally about the ocean and ocean spirits and all those sorts of things. So it's exactly what you're saying.
When I was younger, I think I've said it on here as well, but I think when I was younger, I was saying one of my goals was to like live in that Tahiti, French Polynesia. It still is a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Live in that sort of Tahiti, French Polynesia lifestyle. It's just beautiful and so connected to the earth, and I love it.
There you go. There you go.
One day, maybe.
One day.
One day. Speaking of One World, Chris Martin's song at the end of Ocean, what do you think?
That I could have left behind.
Respectfully. God, you started laughing.
It was just... Sorry, it really, really ruined the tone.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to lie. That was just... Why? It's so BBC of the whole thing as well. It's just...
It was very...
What was the line he just said over and over and over and
We've
over again?
only got one
I don't know,
world.
but it was just classic. If you know... I'm sounding like a hater here.
You started laughing
through a hater, but it was just... I was like, give it a rest. Come on. This is... We're taking this seriously. I don't want to hear your... Oh, I sound so close-minded here, but you're happy clappy friggin'...
Once you've earned your millions from the industry.
Yeah, once you've earned your millions from the industry. And I know now you're trying to make your environmentally sustainable world tours and things, but...
greenwashing, isn't it? It's making.
I don't know, and I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not talk about it. I can get into it as well. These celebs, anyway. Chris Martin, thanks for the song.
Thanks for that lovely song,
helped
Chris
us there.
Martin. He gets where water doesn't. I swear to God. Talking of water, you know the phrase, that person gets where water doesn't?
No.
Have you never heard that phrase before?
As in gets to you really annoying?
No, as in when there's someone that's just always there. So here's an example. Someone that's always, like, everyone used to say James Corden was in every film.
I know what you mean.
He gets where water doesn't, because the thing is water gets absolutely everywhere because it's water.
Yeah.
So you say someone gets where water doesn't is because, speaking hyperbolically,
it's quite nice though.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of
it's
shady.
Okay.
Yeah. Chris Martin is someone like James Corden that gets where water doesn't.
God damn Chris Martin.
Yeah, gosh darn.
Chris Martin.
It was recorded in Abbey Road Studios, which was quite cool.
That's quite cool.
The score was incredible.
Oh, my word.
That score was phenomenal. I'm not a music expert, but I can tell you that it was just insane. So cool. Some of it, going back to the documentary, I said to you afterwards, I was thinking, I'm not... And then it said SFX, which is Special Effects Team.
Yes.
I was like, see, I knew it. It was CGI. Those dolphins were not real. The definition, it was just so crisp. And some of those animals, I thought they must have enhanced this or something, which they probably will have done in terms of colour grading. But some of it just didn't look real whatsoever, let alone having been enhanced. But yeah, the imagery, the music, was all just phenomenal.
Wonderful, yeah. I did want to speak a little bit. One of our main pillars in this podcast is communication. Now, we won't speak about this for a little bit of time, but I think it's quite interesting as well. It's just to teach some of our listeners some new things, possibly, again, making this accessible to things that again, I'm only recently learning as well, is communication. Now, one of our main things is how can we improve how we communicate, how we talk with each other, something that we're doing as well, and something that I've learned a little bit through my degree and also just through books as well, is how animals communicate. A fantastic book called How to Speak Whale by a guy called Tom Mustill.
What are you having for dinner? How is your mood today?
What's your mood boost?
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was rudely interrupted there.
Sorry.
It's basically this guy called Tom Mustill. He was, the whole story behind it was he was on a kayak in California with his friend on a whale watching tour, and a whale breached. And this was caught on video, it's on YouTube. A whale breached and landed on the front of his kayak and then propelled him into the ocean. And now he survived because he wrote a book and he's gone on to live his life. A whale specialist watched the video and picked up that the whale saw this person when it breached and actively tried steering out the way. Now, what this insinuates, or what this leads us to believe, is that whales have this form of emotional intelligence, empathy, that they can feel this as well. So this basically led the guy Tom on to start looking into whale communication, what whales are, what they do, how they communicate, and it was really interesting. Some really cool findings from the book, basically. How whales actually speak. They have these lips in their nostrils, which they can open. And as they open them, that's the sound which echoes in their entire body.
Yeah.
That's why it's so loud and deep, is that this noise sort of echoes out and then is released through these little lips in their nostrils as well. There was a really good finding called, I actually learned this back in uni as well, called Song Revolution.
Yeah.
And it's basically where different pods of whales, different families of whales have different whale song. So they communicate in different tones, pitches, language, whatever it is. And a very good example is Australia. There are these humpback whales that go up the east coast and up the west coast. Okay. They each have very different songs. Now, I think there was one time a whale was found from the west coast to go up the east coast, was singing a song, didn't recognize anyone else. Now, the east coast pod heard this, western whale, or whatever, whichever way it was around, heard this whale song. Their whole song has changed to a completely new one from this one anomaly coming in and singing to them a different song. Basically means that they can learn they can learn songs from another population. It changes, and it's basically shows that through social interaction they learn as well, which is a massive revelation. That it's not just humans. They're not just cultural transmissions that we thought was only a human thing.
Social learning theory.
Social learning theory is also in animals as well.
Yep.
It shows us that we don't know everything, as always. And that we can always learn to communicate better as well.
Yep. The whales are doing it.
The whales are doing it, so why can't we?
Yeah, let us talk.
Let us talk and communicate.
Let us talk.
Let us talk.
Let's be more whale.
Yes. Let's speak more whale.
Yeah, speak more whale.
Let's speak more whale indeed. But yeah, that's just a little bit on communication
really
as well.
Cool. Really cool.
I remember a reason I didn't say why I thought it was great that we're speaking about the oceans is, for me, is often a lot of flow state comes into it as well.
Okay.
At least when I'm speaking about it, I often find myself enjoying talking about it as well, especially when I was back in Thailand, just chatting about it all. It puts me into that flow state. I have some interesting facts which I might lead to later on, but
a flow state being
for
anyone that doesn't already know.
My apologies. Would you like to explain the flow state?
I can do. A flow state is a state of being when you're so immersed in an activity or a task, or where you spoke about in the context of hobbies, where you just lose track of consciousness, track of time, and you're so immersed in whatever that is, you kind of, like it says, you're kind of in a flow. You're kind of floating through your consciousness, so immersed in the joy of what you're doing. Not necessarily the joy, but just the immersion in what you're doing. Yeah,
exactly that. So I think for me, is talking about the oceans or being in it, like surfing yesterday, I was in a flow state, and now I'm about like that.
Nice.
So for me, that's part of why I think it's great that we're recording this episode.
Yeah, well, I agree, and it's nice to see your passions come alive and
for everyone,
your expertise.
Exactly that. Thank you. For anyone listening to this and you're itching away, how do I get involved? How do I start? How do I do anything? I think one of the main things is just the fact that you're listening to it and learning about it is the most important thing. Maybe go and try and watch this documentary, learn more about it. I went to a march last August.
Something like that.
I think it was in August, the March for Clean Water in London. If you can, join a protest, write to your MP. That's quite a big thing.
Yes, because there's a UN assembly
UN
in June,
Ocean Conference in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
Very well remembered. There is.
Where do we know the details?
Oh,
it's
early June.
What they were saying in the documentary, there's this UN Assembly on oceans. On what's it? Sorry.
It's just the Ocean Conference where they basically look at all fishing practices, laws around everything.
Yes, and they are coming to vote on bottom trawling, right?
Yeah, they're a massive summit basically where they come together to talk about all things ocean protection globally as well, which is huge, or in the EU at least as well. I think it's the EU.
So I'm sure there's community pressure that would be going into that, and that's already mobilized and happening at the moment.
I know. Yeah, there's if you're listening to this right now, you can sign a petition, which is all over the internet. It's a email Steve Reed, the MP. To basically push forward to ban bottom trawling in our marine protected areas. If you really want to go on, find that on Google. It's one button you click to sign it. That's huge.
Yeah.
So.
Don't eat fish. No, I'm joking.
I mean, yeah. Again, a lot of what David Attenborough was saying is being more conscious of what we are consuming. Is categorical. We're not here to preach, but being more conscious of what we consume can make us more grounded as well.
I'm holding myself back because I really want to, from my own passion, but I don't want this podcast to be me preaching about consumption of anything. That's just my own personal opinion, and my opinion isn't necessarily always something that is.
You said with Seaspiracy how like being more conscious of our environment, our diet, what we're eating, consuming, just makes us more grounded people in general. So I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but. It's a conversation maybe for a different day on diet as well. I know you and me want to talk about that. Yeah. Diet, meat versus diet non-eaters.
Well, again, this is something we need to be careful of because it's a blurred line. It's not clear for me. It's not just about the environment. There's other things at play, and I don't want to go into that because it immediately infers judgments or whatever, or implies my opinions about X, Y, and Z. So it's something we want to figure out how to navigate
that first before bringing it on camera. But
maybe some might argue that I should just say my opinion with conviction and not care about
how a lot of changes come about, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's how changes come about.
But this is still new to us, and I have always never really wanted to. Some vegetarians might call me bad for that, but I've never wanted to fully preach or. But yes, some vegetarians might. Here I am getting into it. Some vegetarians might say, "Well, then I'm complicit, and I'm not standing up for people or the species or the beings that are being."
Can't please everyone.
Pardon? Can't please everyone.
How can I do this?
No, I know, and I don't. Like I say, I say I'm not going to get into it, and proceeds to get into it. But
go ahead.
No, we're not doing that today. We're talking about the oceans. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share before we go on to our mood boosts?
We've got a cool couple ocean facts.
Please do.
That people will love.
I'm fascinated. I love this conversation.
So, cool fact number 1: the temperature of sand. So turtles.
Oh, I love this fact.
Turtles lay their nest of eggs, in sand, and they basically bury their eggs in the sand. Okay. Now, a cool fact is that the temperature of the sand in which the eggs are laid into will actually determine the gender of the turtle. So with warming temperatures, the warmer the sands, the more likely the gender is to be female. I think it's 31 degrees is the cutoff, isn't it?
31.5 or something.
31.5 degrees is the cutoff. For anything warmer than that, the turtle will be born a female. So the temperature of the sand can determine that. As we have warming climate, we are seeing more and more female turtles and fewer males, which is actually leading to a massive instability in the populations of turtles, which is really interesting as well. Just one of many
millions of
out of sync.
Issues. Yeah.
That as well, so that's really cool. Another one as well, seahorses are one of the only animals in the entire animal kingdom to have their genders completely swapped. So the males give birth, the males get pregnant and give birth. I know the females still do this in like lions, for instance, but the females are seen as the protectors. They guard the male who gives birth, goes out, hunts for food as well. I know lionesses do that as well, but the genuine biology swap is only seen, I think, in a few animals in the entire animal kingdom, seahorses being one as well. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Really, really cool. Interesting in nature is. Just a few ocean facts there.
Yeah, really cool.
Tune in if you want any more. Let us know in the comments below.
In the comments down below.
Type. But yeah, in terms of what you guys can do, connect to nature. Go on a cold swim. Go on a beach walk. Listen to a soundscape of the sea. Just become more connected to it. And
I just recommend watching the documentary. It's bloody brilliant.
Start there. Start there and learn more as always, and that's enough.
For sure. Definitely.
Indeed. Well,
thank you for sharing all of that.
No worries. I've had fun today.
Yeah, it's
a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed learning about all of that, and also just then reflecting and discussing that from your perspective and your expertise. So yeah, thank you. And I'm sure you listeners share my sentiment that it's good to hear your passion and what your interests are and what brings you joy and what promotes your well-being, because that's what we're here to do.
Exactly.
And I'll probably do something similar one day soon.
I'd love that.
And yeah, it's what we're here to do.
Love that. Yeah, sure. That's just a little bit about the importance of our oceans. I'd like to do more of these episodes, but we'll see where we get to. I think it'd be fitting to ask what's been your weekly mood boost, Marcus?
I sound really bad because I can't remember the name of it already. Is it
Sozie's Cookies.
Sozie's Cookies. The best. So we're in Tagazout in Morocco, and went day one, I think, near our Airbnb to this wonderful little house.
Cookie shop house,
really just standalone house that had these purple shutters and this purple wall art on the white walls.
Beautiful.
And immediately this woman was there. She was just a ray of energy, beaming energy, and just a great character, and was really also, I think, fascinated by us and just talking to us and learning about us, and we told her about the podcast and things. But yeah, the best cookies.
Oh my word.
Okay, maybe the best, but most certainly the top 3 cookies I've ever eaten.
Yeah, it's insane.
To the point where I've been here for 3 days and I've had, I think, like 6 cookies or whatever. They are incredible. And also just a really lovely business owner. She's in, what was it?
The Feminists of Morocco.
Feminists of Morocco. It was a whole feature within this magazine. I can't remember the name of the magazine. It wasn't actually a Moroccan magazine. It was I think it was a publication in another country, but it was
wasn't it?
Feminists of Morocco, and it was featuring all of these different amazing business
She was
owners.
in it with her sister.
Her and her sister owning this business here in Tagazout, and it was just lovely learning about it, seeing it, also seeing the proof in the pudding and these amazing cookies.
We got a dance with her, didn't we? We got a picture.
Oh my God, yeah.
We'll put it in this weekly carousel.
And this guy, one of many street musicians that come up and ask for your money and play their music, came up, and you very quickly just started dancing, and then I started dancing, and then she kind of was like, "Oh, video you guys." It was funny. It was very funny.
Yeah.
So that was my mood. It was just lovely seeing and meeting that person, and seeing her passion be doing well and being featured in a magazine and being listed as top
to her
feminist.
magazine. She was like, "I love you guys' reaction. This is brilliant." Like, she was so over the moon with how we just were like happy for her.
She's like, "I wish other people had friends like you. It's so nice that you're."
Oh my God, that was so sweet. Yeah. That was lovely. That's a great mood boost.
It was. What about you?
Bradley.
Oh yeah.
One of our listeners, Bradley, commented, he has now recently got into strength and conditioning training. So massive congratulations to you, Bradley.
Thank you, Bradley.
The gains to come your way. I believe in you. I'll see you at next year's bodybuilding competition. I maybe be there. Maybe one year. Mark is probably first. Bradley, well done on starting strength and conditioning. You're taking health seriously. We respect that massively, so well done.
And thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
A reminder.
It genuinely boosted my mood here.
Yeah, it's same. Bradley's also given us some suggestions of episodes to talk about, topics to talk about. So that's much appreciated as well. Yeah. A reminder, we put up a story on our Instagram page, The Mood Booster Podcast, at The Mood Booster Podcast every Tuesday to receive or to get people to let us know what their weekly mood boosts are. They could be anything from, like we always say, making your bed to having your firstborn child. It could be anything in life. We want to celebrate every mood boost.
Boosts your
whatever
mood.
Has boosted your mood in that day, and we want to know.
Indeed. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
This was a
pleasure,
my guy. Absolutely wonderful episode as per usual.
Yes, I loved it. And
beautiful setting. Off for a sunset surf now.
Yes.
Woo! If we've got time, that is.
Sublime.
Beat the sunset. So yeah, that's us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah.
Peace
out. See you guys on the next week's episode.
See you next week.
You do some ASMR whilst I turn it off. Sounds like a precious gem.
Mood Booster
Some whale noises. Thanks, guys.